This was not just any buffalo. This was an albino buffalo. Hello. I wasn't even planning on doing this video. I was planning on maybe doing it later, but I opened my notebook of YouTube ideas and I pointed, and it was the car accident video. And that was like a few days ago, just a few days before the anniversary of the accident. Let's just get to the story. Because this one it's a really crazy and unbelievable story. Like, if you don't believe me, it's the truth, so if you don't believe me, I don't care. But first, there was 3 of us in the car when we got in the accident. So I have 2 older brothers. Philip and Andrew. Philip is the oldest and Andrew is between me and him. Philip had gone to college the previous year with his girlfriend Kristen. They had come back for the summer, and then my older brother Andrew was also going to go with them the next year. Now the 3 of them were planning on just renting an apartment together. I'm also not going to name any towns just for, protection reasons. But they were going to college like 2 hours away from us. But they were staying in our town, with us for the summer. So Andrew, Philip, and Kristen were planning on going to college next year. So they were gonna all share and rent an apartment together. Now it was around July when they found an apartment online, which, to be honest, if you are apartment shopping for, college, totally recommend doing it like in June, because the earlier the better. That was the problem. They were just, anything that they could get, they were trying to get. So they found this one that was a 2-bedroom and it was decently priced. So we had to go check it out. So Kristen, Andrew, and me decided to go because my brother Philip couldn't come because he had work. But they wanted like a third opinion, I guess, so I ended up going. It was a little nerve-wracking because if you're from the Midwest, at least where I am, then you probably know about the Sturgis Rally. It's in Sturgis, South Dakota, and there's like, I think 250,000 people maybe that go. That could be an exaggeration or under exaggeration. But a lot of people go. I'm not sure if other places of the country know about it, but it's really popular around here. And we had to drive, and if you drive on the highway, you know that during the Sturgis Rally time, it gets really busy. There's a lot of motorcycles, and driving with motorcycles is kind of scary. They're there. So we were a little bit nervous about that. Little did we know that there was going to be a lot worse things coming. Now, before we even left to go out of town, it got really weird. This isn't that weird, but combined with everything else, it was kind of weird. So we stopped at a gas station, to get some, sorry, there's a cat. But we stopped at a gas station before we left to fill up on gas, obviously. And when we were there, Kristen got a business card from this random lady. She said, "Oh, on the back is Jesus," and Kristen was like, "What?" And she turned around, there was a Bible quote. So we kind of thought that was a little spooky. So we left at around 3 to 5, somewhere between then, on August 3rd. And the accident happened on August 4th at around 1 a.m. about. The drive was a lot easier than we thought it was gonna go. We were, sorry, there's the cat. She's so noisy. But, we kind of, were expecting it to be really not the funnest, but it was actually a really fun time to ride there, and there wasn't any real, dangers, if you will, with motorcycles. I don't know how to word it, but it went pretty well to drive. Also, I could totally do a part 2 maybe with other more facts about the legal part maybe of this, because Kristen was the one driving and it was her car, but she's clearly not here. Then we got to the apartment building, and oh my god, it was an un-air conditioned apartment in August. It was extremely hot in there. So, and not only that, but we were in there for an hour. This lady was she kept on jabbering. And spoiler alert, they didn't even, like, Kristen, Philip, and Andrew didn't even end up getting the apartment. So it was kind of all for nothing. When we left the apartment, this was also really weird. There was like a lady, and this is gonna sound like fake or crazy, but when we were backing, like driving out of the driveway of the apartment building, there was this, I don't want to say creepy I don't want to be rude, but there was an old lady. There was an old lady, and she looked like a witch or something. Like, I kid you not. She had a cane, like a staff, is that what you call it? Like the wood ones. And she was wearing like one of those like dresses, like, I don't want to be like weird, but like, think of like a generic voodoo witch. That's what this lady looked like. She looks, I don't know. But when she walked out of this building, she was with her cane, and she was like pointing at us. And I know that sounds really unbelievable. At the time, we were like, oh my god, did she just like curse us or something? Because it was like, it was so random, and it was really weird, and I don't know. I think she was Native American, and I don't really remember. All I can remember is what she was wearing, because it was just so, and the cane, because it was just so weird. But if you don't know, buffaloes and Native American, buffaloes are like kind of like sacred in Native American culture. So I don't know. Who knows? Now we wanted to leave a lot earlier. It didn't end up happening, but we wanted to get back before sunset. That did not happen. We ended up getting back 1 a.m. or we started getting, you know what I mean. We were driving out 1 a.m. the next, to the next day, August 4th. Now we're getting into like the juicy details. It's kind of hard to talk about, I guess, because it was kind of traumatic, actually. I just actually got my permit about a month ago, and honestly, I have such driving fear. I have such fears of crashing because it was just really scary, you guys. Yeah. Okay, we were about 10 minutes out of our hometown, so who knows? But we were really close to our hometown, so the fact that this happened 10 minutes before we got home was really, it was really something. So I think I'm gonna have to use hand gestures for this, but basically there was a motorcyclist was driving. I would say this was about 10 minutes before we ended up getting in the car accident, but he was driving on the road, and he saw a buffalo when he was on his motorcycle, and he, of course, if you don't know how big a buffalo is, they are ginormous. They're really big. They're like as tall as a human. Maybe I can find some pictures on the internet, but they're really big. And so like he's on a motorcycle, so he like kind of freaks out and pulls over to the side. He then turns on his like blinkers to kind of he's trying to warn people, and a couple minutes later there's a couple driving a pickup, and they have a camper on the back. They also pull over, and then they called he called the police before, and told them that there was an animal loose. He had called in the police and told them that there was a buffalo roaming around and that they need to do something because it's not safe with people driving in the middle of the night, for a buffalo to just be, walking around. Okay, now this all, if anything had been the slightest different, who knows if we would have been here right now. And I do want to say that we all survived with scratches. It was amazing. Like, I have a picture of the car accident that I posted the same night on my Instagram, and it's crazy. Like, it could have been so much worse. Kristen had a slight concussion, but that was the worst, which is insane because, buffaloes are crazy. And now I'm going to describe the actual accident and, how it happened. But basically, we were, this guy with the blinkers, the motorcyclist, he was kind of at the top of a hill. It wasn't like a super, long hill. It was, gradually. But basically, he was trying to warn us that, there's something going around, which honestly, it was kind of a distraction, but you know, he tried. He was trying to help us. But so Kristen was driving, and I had headphones in, so I wasn't even listening. I was half asleep. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. But they were, she was like, "What's that?" You know, like, and Andrew was like, "What is he doing?" More focused on these lights blinking than, you know, looking for a buffalo. But then all of a sudden, it was, oh my god, it's like a feeling, it's hard to describe, but basically, the way it felt for me, so like I'm in the back seat. The way the car was positioned was Kristen in the driver's, Andrew in the passengers, and it was me in the back behind Andrew. So they have airbags, of course, so like, I mean, it still would have been scary, of course, because they're in the front seat right next to the actual thing that hit it. But I was in the back seat, so like everything was just there in my face. And honestly, when we hit this thing, it was just, okay, so a few seconds before we hit it, it kind of just felt like the world was like dizzy. I don't know why, but it did. Not only that, but that entire day, me, Andrew, and Kristen just had this weird feeling. That might sound really, it sounds really weird, but we just had this weird feeling that something was like going to happen. We didn't think it was going to be this, clearly, but we don't know. Now, it's hard to describe the accident, but basically just, we were driving 70 miles, you know, 70, 60, I'm not sure, but you know, on this highway, and then all of a sudden we hit a buffalo and the car just like shakes. Like when it happens, you just like, it's crazy, you just stop. It just stops, you know, the emergency brake goes off the car. And not only that, but also the lights turned on, the emergency lights. So it just stopped, the lights came on, and there was dust everywhere, and glass. Like that's the only way I can describe it, is just like a sudden movement, dust, glass, and light everywhere. In fact, and also I couldn't remember, it's kind of hard, sorry. But I could, like, you could kind of see the fur of the animal. Like, you could just see that something hit us. Like, at first, this is gonna sound really ridiculous, but I thought it was like a mountain lion. I don't know what I was thinking, but that's what I thought it was. I don't know why. But then, like, a few seconds after that, when I was like, we were all losing our shit. Like, what the hell just happened, you know? Like, what did we just hit something. Like, what? Oof. I'm sorry, for the last couple of days, I've been, like, having a lot of anxiety about this because, I'm sorry about the cat, she's just distracting, but I've been having a lot of anxiety about this because, like, I don't know, I'll get more into that later, but it was terrifying. It's kind of hard to talk about, but okay, so, where was I at? I don't remember. Now, immediately, like, after it happened, we were all losing our shit. Like, Kristen was screaming, like, what the fuck just happened? I'm pretty sure that's what she said. Andrew, surprisingly, he's kind of an anxious person, kind of like me, but I was surprised at how cool he was keeping it. And then I'm also losing my shit because I'm literally bawling. Like, I bawled this whole time. Like, it was so scary. But Kristen was like, okay, get out of the car. Like, we have to get out of the car. So then we get out of the car. I'm not wearing shoes because I took them off in the car. I don't have my glasses. I don't have my phone. I'm like, what did we just hit? What did we just hit? We're all losing our shit. Kristen just screaming, look at my car, which was not funny at the time. It's not funny really now, but I'm like, I don't know. She just look at her car because she had gotten that car only like a few months before that. Yeah, and also her insurance for some reason were such pains in the ass. Like it was frustrating for her. But then we get out of the car and the motorcycle guy is like, you guys just hit a buffalo. And we're like, we know how big a buffalo is. And they are huge. And apparently he said that when we hit it, this is the car, this is the buffalo, it ran into us and it flew in the air. He said he was like freaking out because he thought it was gonna land on him. So he was like running all over the place. It ended up landing like 2 cars behind us. Not 2 actual cars, but 2 like metaphor cars behind us. So it was like quite a bit behind us. But he said it flew in the air and he was like, holy shit, because the buffaloes are huge. They are massive. And then we ended up calling the police also because, we just got in a car accident and we had to call the ambulance. Like, it's crazy that none of us were hurt. Like, it's insane. I think, I could definitely do a part 2, maybe with like more information with Kristen and Andrew. We'll see. Okay, and you guys, this was not just any buffalo. This was an albino buffalo. Literally, a white buffalo. And fun fact, I think we looked it up, and those are 1 in 10 million, which is insane. Not only that, but also in Native American culture, they are considered sacred. On my Instagram post, my mom's friend who is Native American, she said that it probably was protection, protecting us from something else that could have happened that was worse, which I don't know. But I don't know if you guys believe in spirits and things like that, but I want to believe that it was protecting us from something worse that could have happened. Now, the buffalo did die because it flew like 70 feet up in the air and crashed down. But I remember when the police ended up getting there, which took them like half an hour, by the way. It took them a long time. And so did the ambulance. But I remember before the ambulance got there, I ended up looking at the buffalo and I started kind of walking towards it, but the police officer told me not to, just because it could be a little traumatizing. So I also didn't end up getting a picture of the buffalo, which kind of sucks because it was a white buffalo, I guess. But I also couldn't end up finding my phone or my glasses. Like, where did these go? We ended up finding them, like, in the front seat. Like, my glasses had flown forward way into the front seats. Same with my phone. Luckily, nothing was shattered, like my phone or glasses. It's crazy how nothing was really destroyed besides Kristen's car. It's insane. But right where my phone was, there was a freaking buffalo horn. The horn of the buffalo had gone through the glass. Sorry, the cat. The horn of the buffalo had gone through the glass and broken off and landed between Kristen and Andrew. Like, it could have impaled us. And now Kristen keeps it in her car with her for good luck, even though she just got sideswept at an Arby's parking lot. I don't know if it was Arby's, but it was some parking lot like 2 days ago. But they actually sent me a picture, so that's great. Now, the ambulance did get there and they checked us to see if we were okay. We ended up being okay, so we actually just got to ride home with our parents. And my mom was like losing her shit because we had just gotten in an accident. And it was weird because she wanted to kind of stay up to wait for us, but she ended up falling asleep. When we told her we were close, she was like, okay, thank God you guys made it without crashing into a motorcycle, because that was the worry, a motorcycle, the Sturgis Rally. But no. 10 minutes before we got home, we got into a car accident where we hit a buffalo, an albino buffalo. It's crazy. There's also some other weird things about this story. One of the weird things about this story that is kind of weird is that a week before, like a weekish before that, the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came. And you guys know how you have like kind of a song, like you hear a song and that song's kind of like stuck in your head for like a week or a couple days. Well, my song at that moment was Baby, You're Out of Time or something like that from the Rolling Stones. And I was listening to this like pretty much on repeat in that car ride, and it was like the last song I was listening to before we hit the accident. Literally a song called Baby You're Out of Time, which is crazy. Also, Kristen and Andrew were listening to music like through an aux cord, and the song playing through that was Take On Me. That's not that creepy, but I just thought I would mention that because it was kind of like right when the chorus is rising when we hit it, so like everything was so weird and just so spooky. We actually all have this fear. It's kind of weird, and morbid, but it's just a fear. It's gonna sound kind of weird, but we really fear that we're all like dead right now. It kind of scares me to think about. Like, that's why I had so much anxiety the other day. I was like, am I dead right now? I was literally losing my shit. I was like crying, and I'm gonna cry right now if I don't stop talking about it. But it was really scary to think about. And actually, a month or so before, me and Andrew had watched a movie, not before the accident, but about a month ago, this summer, me and Andrew watched a movie. It's called Carnival of Souls, and it's like a cult classic from the 1960s. It's a horror movie. This is a spoiler of the movie. But basically in the movie, this woman gets in a car accident and her car goes into the water she's on a bridge and her car goes into the water. She somehow gets out of the car and everybody's like, oh, you're alive, But then she ends up just like living her life, and she goes on and about with her life. And in her life, or when she ends up moving to a different town where she becomes a church organist, and here everything just gets really weird for her. She keeps seeing this man who, maybe I'll look up a picture right here. He looks really creepy. But she keeps seeing this reoccurring man a bunch, and she's like freaking out because he looks scary. Not only that, but she has these moments, and they're really actually kind of scary. But there's these moments where everything in her life, like no one can see her and no one can hear her, and she's just running around screaming for people to help her, but no one can see or hear her. And it's really creepy, but basically in the end, spoiler alert, they end up taking her car out of the water, and her dead body is in the car. And that's really scary because, I really live in fear that, that happened to me. Which I know might sound crazy, but it's a fear. It's weird how me, Kristen, and Andrew all had that same fear, that we were dead right now, and we're just like living a fake life. I don't think we are. I think we're fine. Maybe it's a common thing for people who are in car accidents to have a fear. In fact, when the car accident actually happened, when I got out of the car and was like crying, I told Andrew, we're dead right now, we're dead. We couldn't have survived that because it was so insanely scary and traumatic. It was huge. It was a buffalo that we hit. Not only that, the cat, it's really weird because it almost seems, I don't want to say, so when it came to the legal things for Kristen, it was, for some reason, everything was really difficult. I don't want to, someone owned this buffalo, of course. This buffalo was domesticated, I think that's the word, and it had gotten out of a cage. Someone's buffalo could have killed us. And it was really weird about that. Maybe I'll talk more about that, and if I do a part 2, I'm not sure. But it was kind of sketchy. It almost seemed covered up in a way. There is a certain really rich person who owns a really large percentage of land in the Midwest, and there happens to be buffaloes on that land. He's a very rich man. I'm not going to say his name, but I don't think it was him. I think it might have been someone more local's farm. So, but it still seemed kind of weirdly covered up. It wasn't, first of all, on the police report, I don't remember exactly what it said, but it was kind of written in a weird way, you know? And also, it didn't end up being published in like the newspapers, or you know, our town newspaper, or it was just so weird for how big of a thing it was. Nothing was being talked about it, which was kind of weird. So it just felt almost, I don't know, covered up. I'm not sure if that was intentional. It probably wasn't, but it just felt kind of weird. We ended up just getting home. You know, after the ambulance cleared us, we could just go home. Kristen ended up going to the doctor a few days later, and she was confirmed that she had a concussion. But that night, we just all got home. We took showers, you know, washed, because we had glass in our hair, and it was really gross. So we just got home, and we ended up watching a movie that night, and everything has just been fine since then. Kristen has had a little bit of trouble with car insurance. That's, you know, not my business, so I don't really know much about it. That's the story about the time I got in a car accident and hit, well, not me, but I was in the car. I was in a car accident, and we hit an albino buffalo. It's really crazy, you may not believe it, but it was true, and it was really scary, and it makes me kind of fear driving. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, you can comment, but please like and subscribe, and